talk were both political, so to speak, but anyway, it wasn't meant to be that way. Every county has its share of known and little-known political events, along with its political notables and characters. Wayne County is no exception. Tonight, I'll look back on some of those events and the people involved in them during the mid-1900s. The notables and any characters that I'll mention are all deceased, but some of their descendants are still living in Wayne County, and I might add in this room tonight. The events that I'll mention have Wayne County and Georgia roots, and one with national implications. Some may be well known, others known only to a few or perhaps only by living family members. I began in March 1932. Judge D.M. Clark, a well-known judge, who was also a highly respected lawyer and civic leader, wrote a letter to a young man living in the northern part of Wayne County, near the Omaha River and Appin County line. In this short personal letter, he asked that this 28-year-old man stop by his office the next time he was in Jessup. He said he had a matter that he wished to discuss with him. The young man was Robert Warren. He was a former sawmill and turpentine operator. His father had moved to Wayne County from Wilcox County when Robert was 12 years old. His father was primarily a sawmill and timberman, buying standing saw timber or the land itself and moving his sawmill and workers to that site to cut and saw the timber. He died when Robert was 17. As he was the oldest son, it fell his lot to assist his mother in continuing the family business to support the family. After receiving Judge Clark's letter, he went to Jessup the following Saturday. He naturally was curious because he hardly knew the judge except by reputation. Judge Clark told this young man that he and 4 other prominent Wayne County men would each pay $25 to cover the qualification fee if he was run for sheriff. The only name of the other 4 that I remember is Ben Gibbs, another highly respected and prominent Wayne County citizen and attorney. He was also the Solicitor General of the Brunswick Judicial Circuit, and I might add, the grandfather of Jenny and Courtney. I know little of discussion between Judge Clark and Robert Warren. I do not believe that young Robert Warren had ever considered being a candidate for political office. I suspect, though, when he was told that the 5 prominent men, including a judge and district attorney, pledged their financial and political support, it would have been very difficult to say no to them. Robert and his wife Nora Dent Warren had 4 children, all girls. They had lost their firstborn, a son. She and the children eagerly awaited his return from town to learn what Judge Clark wanted to see him about. Years later, when recalling that day, she said that when he told her that he had agreed to run for sheriff, she cried, not from joy, but disappointment. She said that each child had been born at a different location, including sawmill and turpentine steel, slab, tar paper shanties. Less than 3 months before, just before Christmas of 1931, they had moved in her first real home, a brand new large warm house, especially built for their large family. Now he was telling her she might have to move again, and she was right. He defeated the incumbent, Sheriff Rogers, in the Democratic primary in August of 1932, which was tantamount to win in the general election in November, as Republican opposition was unheard of then. He ran as a clean-up county candidate. This was in the waning years of Prohibition, and Wayne County was said to have many moonshine stills operating almost openly. This apparently was the reason Judge Clark and his friends wanted a change in the sheriff's office. Local history has 5 moonshine stills being destroyed by Sheriff Warren in his first week in office. One more Warren family anecdote. Not long after Robert Warren decided to run for sheriff, Miss Warren told him that another Warren baby would be added to the Warren family probably in November. Since there were already 4 daughters, it was natural to assume that this one would be a boy and be named Robert Jr. No girls' names were thought of, believing it was highly unlikely they would have another girl. As the birthing time approached, it appeared that it would be in the November presidential election time frame. It was decided that in the unlikely event that it was again a daughter, she would be named after the 1932 president-elect's wife. So that is why the 5th Warren daughter was named Eleanor and not Louise. The family moved to Jessup after the August primary. They bought the Shed house at 261 North Orange Street. Mr. and Ms. Shed had built the house after World War I. They owned and operated Shed's Dairy behind what is now Habano's Mexican restaurant on South 1st Street. After serving 16 years as sheriff, Mr. and Ms. Warren moved back to their property on Lanesbridge Road. They sold the Orange Street home to Harry and Martha Jean Burns, Jr. It's still standing, but not occupied. It's right across from what's going to be a new pizza place. He was appointed director of the Georgia Department of Corrections by then Governor Herman Talmadge and served in that position for 6 years. Ben Gibbs, who had been mentioned earlier, served 8 years as district attorney of the Brunswick Judicial Circuit. 8th District Congressman Braswell Dean from Alma decided not to run again in 1938, opting instead to become the director of Georgia Welfare Department in the Governor Ed Rivers administration. Mr. Gibbs was one of the candidates running to replace him. He won the election and went to Washington in January of 1939. He died suddenly from a stroke with less than a year left on his term of office. His wife, Miss Florence Gibbs, won a special election to complete his term. She had no opposition, and she announced that she would only complete his term and return to Jessup. She was a lovely, true Southern lady, and I'm proud to say that she chose me to be her physician in her last years of life. Mr. and Miss Gibbs had 2 children. Their daughter Betty married Dr. Alvin Leapart, who was a prominent and legendary Jessup physician, civic and community leader. Among his many medical and community accomplishments, he played a pivotal role in getting Rayonier to locate in Jessup. He was very instrumental in helping them acquire the Doctortown property, where Rayonier Mills and Research Department are now located. It was said that Dr. Alvin and Betty's generous hospitality with the Rayonier decision makers also helped greatly to seal the deal. Dr. Leapart's effort, generosity, and credit in bringing Rayonier here has been forgotten, except by a few of our older Wayne Countyans. Warner Gibbs was the other child of Congressman Ben and Congressman Lady Florence Gibbs. He's Jeannie's father. He was a prominent Wayne County attorney and local judge. Warren and his wife Martha Lee have several descendants and kin living in this area now. In 1940, there were several candidates to represent the vacant 8th District seat in Congress. John Gibson